As I strolled out of the lobby of a Metro Atlanta high school, I bumped into a friend of mine. She's the mother of a teen who attends that school. When I asked her why she was there, she timidly stated that her son had forgotten his science project, his lunch, and a permission slip he needed that day. She was there to drop off all the things he had forgotten. When she asked me why I was there, I hesitated. I had just finished speaking to the faculty about overfunctioning parents. I told her about my meeting with staff and teachers, which led to an interesting conversation between the two of us. I discovered that this mom, like millions of others, feels the need to rescue her children from mistakes they make and to cover for them as they prepare for college. This has led her to not only rush forgotten items to a school campus, but to perform other tasks as well. She will finish homework for her teens. She still lays out their clothes before each day begins. She will spy on her kids with binoculars on occasion to ensure they're safe. She serves them at Starbucks as she picks them up from school daily. She won't allow them to attend a college that's more than an hour away. And she won't allow her kids to go for more than 2 hours without checking in. She gave me permission to share this story with you as long as I did not share her name. This kind of leadership has become quite common, as I mentioned in earlier chapters. But I'd like to examine why educated adults, parents, teachers, coaches, and others, continue to do such things and how these efforts leads to negative consequences. When I asked her about her reasoning, it was predictable. She sees how anxious her kids are, ages 11, 14, and 16. They seem stressed out over the many activities in their lives, and she feels they won't be able to keep up without her help. A nurturing mother, seeing a struggling adolescent, almost immediately jumps to help. It seems natural, and those adults who do this actually do help, at least for now. What's tragic about these scenarios is we have cultivated a large population of young adults who have become helpless because we've helped them too much. They're not resourceful because we've resourced them so much. I am not suggesting that helping teens is wrong, simply that the way we've chosen to help them may be wrong. We have failed to think about the ultimate consequences since we're consumed with the immediate need. Too often, we think only of short-term fixes instead of long-term solutions. I've observed the miserable outcomes of our overfunctioning practices on thousands of high school and college campuses across the country. In my book, 12 Huge Mistakes Parents Can Avoid, I suggest we risk too little. We won't let them take risks or get hurt. We rescue too quickly. We won't let them fail or fall or forget. We rave too easily. We exaggerate our praise for expected performance. And we reward too frequently. We offer prizes for mere participation. Each of these decisions is logical, but they are not preparing. Each of these decisions is logical, but they are not preparing students for the future. These decisions leave students ill-equipped for a professor or employer or spouse who will interact with them very differently than we have. My friend Tim Tisopoulos taught me something years ago that I've applied to both my profession and my parenting. The further out you can see into the future, the better the decision you'll make today. What we must recognize is there must be a weaning process if we hope to build resilient kids. Over time, we must balance what we do as their leaders and what we invite them to take on as emerging adults. Research states that kids are actually anti-fragile by nature. Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt relay this in their groundbreaking book, The Coddling of the American Mind. As kids mature, they naturally grow stronger when deeper challenges are introduced into their days. In fact, it's these challenges that foster maturity. Kids need new opportunities to master a skill, to solve a problem, to encounter new people, and to take on a challenge. Just like a fitness center only helps you get stronger if you lift heavy weights, so kids must experience stretching to grow stronger. So, how much is too much? It is only when they cross a certain line that they learn helplessness and give up. In the next chapter, we'll discuss helping kids draw this line for themselves. Unfortunately, in today's society, we have drawn that line for them and have failed to empower them to stretch. We draw the line too closely to safety and too far from stretching. Far too often, we've actually robbed them of resilience. The inverse relationship between opportunity and grit. In previous chapters, I argued that life has never been easier or more convenient, offering swifter service and solutions delivered to our doors or on our screens. Collectively, Generation Z has more opportunity than any previous generation in history. What we are finding now is that all that opportunity is causing a grit problem. University of Pennsylvania researcher and psychologist Angela Duckworth authored the most extensive study on grit, defining it as, quote, perseverance and passion for long-term goals, end quote. Dr. Duckworth created a test called the Grit Scale, assessing students on a series of 8 to 12 issues, which reveal their perspective and aptitude in areas of resilience and perseverance. Duckworth's team has found that a person's grit score is highly predictive of achievement in challenging situations. In fact, Dr. Duckworth and her team have found that grit is a greater predictor of success in life than grades. I saw this in action in 2018 during my visit to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. I discovered a cadet's grit score was their best predictor of success in the rigorous summer training program known as Beast Barracks. Grit mattered more than intelligence, talent, leadership ability, or physical fitness. In fact, the cadets most likely to succeed actually had less than average talent, perhaps intuitively knowing that what they lacked in talent they could make up for in tenacity. Duckworth herself found that at the Scripps National Spelling Bee, it was the grittiest contestants, not necessarily the smartest ones with the highest IQs, who were most likely to advance to the finals, in part due to the fact that they would study longer and with greater focus. This, of course, is where the rubber meets the road. I believe adults have actually diminished the development of grit in American kids. We've conditioned kids to avoid pain or hurt at any cost, which has diminished the cultivation of resilience in them. We work to make life simpler and easier than in past generations. We have a safety-first policy on everything, placing helmets and pads on kids and protectors on every device. Parents do so because we believe a lie that if our kids get hurt, it damages them in the long run. Educators do so because we want to avoid litigation. While this safety-first policy makes sense in the moment, it leaves teens miserably unready for adulthood, where they'll spend most of their lives. May I offer another example of the dangers of our meddling? Recent studies have found that some of the new allergies kids have developed since the 1990s may be due to the overprotective styles we've assumed as adults. In 2015, a LEAP, Learning Early About Peanut Allergies study, was unveiled. The hypothesis was that if children were introduced to peanut-based products during their mother's pregnancy, it would elicit a stronger immune system and a resistance to allergies. The results were stunning. Those who were protected from peanuts were 5 times more prone to become allergic than those who were exposed to peanuts. 17% of the protected kids got allergies compared to only 3% of the unprotected kids. Authors of the study concluded that our protection was harmful and that the earlier advice we'd all heard was incorrect. It's merely an illustration, but the human body is amazing.